Hi, I'm Aaron Suttles, Director of Content for Yea Alabama, and we're back for another exciting episode of Half Hour Huddle. This week, we're welcoming in Luisa Blanco, and she'll join us here in a second. But before we get to that, as always, a couple of housekeeping items. If you haven't seen, you probably have, but if you haven't, Alabama football is bringing back Fan Days. It went away for a couple of years, but now it's back, and now's an opportunity for you to tell your friends and your family that you'll get to see Alabama practice. And along with that practice, you'll get Yea Alabama subscribers get exclusive access to autographs. So those autograph lines that you remember with the running of the Gumps, this is going to look a little different this year. You are able to get in line after the practice is over. You don't have to wait outside the stadium in just sweltering August temperatures. You get to get in line. You get to bring a guest 12 and under. So if you have a child you'd like to get an autograph from Alabama football player Coach Saban, make sure you take advantage of that. If you think someone that you know of would like to take advantage of that, make sure that you're telling them about Yea Alabama. Follow us on social media. Check out the merch store. We got youth sizes now available. But now we didn't come here to hear me talk about the housekeeping items. We came here to welcome in Luisa Blanco to the show. Luisa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, you've been racking up the frequent flyer miles lately. What can you tell us about what you've been up to?
I don't know. Some people call it backpacking, but I've never done this in my life. I've been living out of a suitcase for the last almost 4 weeks, and it's definitely been an experience. I went to Minnesota. I've been training there for the last, month and a half or so. So I went back up there. I was preparing for the Columbia National Championship. So that's where I ultimately ended up. I was in Columbia for the last 2 weeks, and now I am back in the States, and I'm so glad to be back.
So, what's the ultimate goal? Why did you travel to Columbia?
I love that question because I feel like it has multiple answers. I obviously have my personal goals that I had as a little girl, competing for what I feel like is my country. Both my parents are Colombian, and I've always had really strong ties to my Colombian heritage. So just competing for them was always a big goal that I had when I was younger. And then, college obviously came into the picture, and some things changed, just like life does. And I actually had really important, I like to call them like my core five, and they're the people that I keep closest to me. The conversation just got brought up, and I said, why not? It's my last year of eligibility. Why not go out with a bang? And I found myself training to compete for the Colombian National Championship, and that's what I did this past weekend.
What was that like? I mean, set the stage for us, set the atmosphere.
Completely different, unlike anything I've ever done in my life. I've competed internationally before, but it was just a very humbling experience for sure. Completely new equipment. I totally underestimated like how much, you know, the different equipment and the weather and just things that are out of your control, how much they can affect how you perform. And I think it ultimately, it made me stronger as an athlete. But I'm very grateful for everything that I have here, and I think going to Columbia really showed me how privileged I am.
Now, did you have the opportunity to bond with some of the competitors there? What was that
Oh
like?
yeah, of course. I think that was probably the best part. It wasn't really the medals. It wasn't, winning, although that's great. It wasn't, my main objective. I think in meeting the girls and them asking me about my experiences with college and everything and what it's like living in the U.S., it just really puts things into perspective for you. And it was really awesome just hearing their stories. And, I ended up just coming out of it just with a whole new perspective and just with so much gratitude. But yeah, those girls welcomed me with open arms, and it was amazing.
Well, if you don't know anything about Luisa, you could probably already tell from this short interaction that she's pretty humble because we've gotten a few questions in, and she hasn't told us how she did. How did you finish in the competition?
I ended up winning the all around and the bars title, which again, I like going into competitions not really knowing the scores. I told my coaches, I said, hey, like, I just want to have fun. There's a lot going on right now. There was a lot of different scheduling changes. So the only thing I had was to focus on my gymnastics. And I think that's what, led to the end result. And obviously, the preparation work that we did. But I won the all around and the bars title this weekend.
Yeah. So we're talking to the Colombian national champion here. Put some respect on her name. I remember talking to you a couple months ago, and it's pretty clear that you're very proud of your heritage, and you've got a whole backstory with what your parents sacrificed to get you into gymnastics and all the sacrifices they made. So what would it mean to you, or what has it meant to you getting to go to Colombia and seeing that sort of tying your heritage with actual experience?
When I was little, my mom and my dad, they would always tell me stories, and it was up to my imagination really to kind of put together what that would look and feel like. And I was actually reflecting on that when I was trying to, put content out there so I can, show the people that follow me and support me, like what this experience was like. And it was just incredible. I mean, I can't really put it into words. It's just something that you feel in your heart. And how do you sum up something that you've been waiting your whole life to do? It's crazy. So, I mean, the experience was definitely unforgettable. It was beautiful. I've never felt so closely tied to my culture. I felt like I was truly like 100% myself, and it was amazing.
Obviously this was your experience, but I'm sure your parents were sort of living vicariously through you. What have they shared with you about what that's meant to them, the fact that you've done this?
Just so proud. My dad lives in Colombia, so I got to see my dad for the first time in, goodness, almost 5 years, and that was a lot. But I'm so glad I got to see him, and they were just showering me with love and telling me how proud they are of me. I really do have the best parents. They sacrificed so much, not only just coming to this country and not really knowing what was going to happen, just wanting to give the best life that they could for their two kids. And it's just a really full circle moment, and it makes my heart really full. And I know I have the best parents, and they're super proud of me.
Now, for those that don't know, back in, I believe it was 2021, you had an opportunity with ESPN to sort of celebrate your heritage as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so they called me up and they asked me if I wanted to fly to New York City to do this show, kind of highlighting Latina athletes in sport. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was 19 years old, but I was like, put me on a plane. And it was, to this day, like one of the most coolest experiences ever. They picked me up in a cool car, and I felt like I was famous. And I went to the shoot that morning, and I was with incredible women that have just been trailblazers for not only their countries but their families, and Latinas as a whole. And it was super empowering. I think from that moment on, I really struggle with imposter syndrome sometimes, and not really feeling like I should be in the room, or why do people care what I have to say. But it just, I don't know, it really made me feel seen. And like I said, it was an awesome experience, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
All right, so beneath the video there, if you have a question or a comment for Luisa, make sure you click on that and get your questions in. And we're going to go to some questions now, Luisa, that have been already submitted. Cindy wants to know, did you compete in any other sports growing up?
Yes, I was a soccer player. I actually come from a whole family of soccer players. My dad played professionally growing up in Colombia, and my brother played varsity soccer. And yeah, my mom was a gymnast. My mom did a lot. She did like every sport in the book. But yes, I come from a very athletic family. But one day my mom was just like, okay, you got to choose. Is it going to be gym or is it going to be soccer? And well, we know how that ended up.
Well, I think you chose well, because you certainly had a lot of success in gymnastics. But do you still have any soccer skills left?
Oh goodness, no. I trip like walking up the stairs, and I'm very clumsy. Sometimes I can't even walk on the beam, to be honest. But yeah, no, I don't think I have any soccer skills left in me. I like watching the World Cup, but that's about it.
We got the Women's World Cup coming up, right?
I actually don't know, but I'll be tuning in now.
There we go. All right, let's go to another question. Jack wants to know if you have, or if you do, what's your first Olympic memory?
Goodness. So back home, I trained at Woga, and it's the home of Carly Patterson and Nasty Lukin and Maddie Koshin, who are all Olympians. But my first Olympic memory was when I made the team at Woga, and I kept seeing pictures of this like really beautiful blonde girl, like ballerina lines, and as a gymnast, that's all you want to, you strive to be. And I kept seeing her everywhere, and so I looked her up, and Nasi really changed my life forever. I wanted to embody everything that she was, because she came from my gym and from my coaches. So I knew, I was in the right place. But that was probably my first Olympic memory, just watching her in 2008.
Have you gotten to know her at all? Have you met her? Have you had a conversation with her?
Yeah, I've met her many times throughout the years. She hosts a lot of competitions, and it's been really awesome to see how she has transformed, being an athlete and now just being an entrepreneur. She's killing the game right now.
Is it ever surreal to you that the way maybe you looked at her, that, on Friday nights in Coleman Coliseum, there are little girls looking at you like that?
Yeah, I mean, I still pinch myself. It's not something that I let myself get used to, just because, like you said, like I was that little girl, and that Leo wanting to be like the big girls. So it's definitely surreal.
Yeah. All right, let's grab another question here. Tim wants to know, what's your favorite Alabama gymnastics moment?
Goodness, there's so many. um, I mean, it's got to be winning SECs with my team in 2021. We didn't even I couldn't even put into words. It was so fast paced. We were all fired up. We were, building that momentum from event to event, and it was just so, so fun. But I think my favorite memory from that meet was when I finished, I stuck my landing, and I go and I run over to my teammates. We're all just crying, bawling. And then I run over to my coach, Dana, and I just give her the biggest hug. And she was like, "You did it, you did it." And I was like, "No, we did it." And it's like the biggest, I get chills just thinking about it. That's probably my favorite moment that I've had at UA.
That's a pretty good one. Let's grab another question here. Brittany wants to know, what's the most nervous you've ever been competing?
This past weekend, it was crazy. I don't know why the scheduling and how the rotations go is different in South America, but it definitely is. It shapes character for sure. So like I said before, I was leaning on my gymnastics, just kind of keep me grounded. But I think it was the fact that, again, all that anticipation. It was the first time in Colombia. I had all this expectation. But I definitely, my heart was beating out of my chest. And I'm usually good with calming myself down. But definitely this weekend was the most nervous that I've ever been.
Do you think you can sort of take that experience and use it as you prepare for this season?
For sure. I think the biggest thing is not letting yourself put limits just because something is not right or it's not going the way it should. If, for example, the equipment is off, or you feel a little bit nervous, just having this experience and knowing how privileged I am to have the facilities, have the resources that I have at UA especially, has just been it's what I'll take most from this meet, and everything in addition that I've had, over these past 4 years, just handling adversity and coming back from it stronger, not letting a mistake dictate what your next move is going to be. But yeah, if I had to sum it up, that's the biggest thing I would take away from this meet is just handling adversity and not letting anything take you down.
Yeah. So you mentioned now a couple times about the equipment being a little something you had to adjust to.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically was obviously they're probably different than you're used to, but and once did you get used to it, and how long did it take you?
Right. So for me, like to put it in perspective, I'm competing at a different arena or a different stadium, whatever you want to call it, every Friday night for 13 weeks straight. And you're used to your facilities like your therapy, your cold tubs, your, whatever you want to do before your meet day. There's none of that there. It's an open coliseum with no air conditioning
Ooh.
and 90-degree heat. And it is a lot. It is a lot. And there's, all these girls, different age groups, all together working out, training. It's figuring out when you're going to go, what your settings are, feeling the different bounce of the bar compared to what it's like here. The beam's a little bit more round, so that was a big hurdle that I had to face because beam is, it's my thing, it's my comfort spot, and it was very different. So I'm glad I had those couple of days before the actual competition to just settle in.
Yeah, I mean, 90-degree heat. That's
90-degree heat. I thought I was gonna pass out. Like I was so flushed. I should have known. I walked into like the arena wearing a leotard, and girls were wearing sports bras and biker shorts, and they're like, "Are you okay?" Like next time, just please wear what you need to be comfortable. But goodness, yeah, that 90-degree heat was no joke.
what an experience. Let's grab another question here. This one coming from Rhonda. Do you prefer noise or silence when you're in the middle of a routine?
Noise. I love when it's loud. Like I feed off of it. It fires me up. I don't know if it's just because I'm super competitive. It makes me think of this one time. It was my junior year at Florida, and I forget who it. Oh, Naya Reed. She was, breakout like star senior that year, and she had just gotten her perfect 10 on her floor routine. I did not know that at the time while I was flipping on a 4-inch piece of wood, but I knew it real quick when there was like 10,000 people just all together screaming. Like it was insane, total chaos. But I was just like, okay, I got to get these people's like attention somehow. And I think to this day, probably my best beam routine yet. But yeah, that's something I'll never forget. But I definitely love noise. I think silence is even more intimidating because then all eyes are on you,
Right.
and you know it. Like when it's crazy loud, you can almost just be in your own world. So definitely noise over silence.
Well, it seems like the worst would be if it's silent and then it gets out of nowhere, it gets noisy. Like, is that distracting?
I think you get a little bit of a jump scare, but again, you just lock back in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's easy for you to say. You can balance on that beam. Most of us can't even walk across it.
Lots of practice.
All right, let's grab another question here. Karen wants to know. We always hear this from football, like how sore they are after they compete. Is it the same for gymnasts? Because you're literally flying through the air. You're putting a lot of stress on your joints and your ligaments. What's it like in the days after a meet? Are you pretty sore?
Oh my gosh, sore is not even the word. It's you try to recreate it in practice. You'll go through like a meet day practice, usually like the weeks before a meet. And I don't know if it's the adrenaline or just the setting, the people. I don't know what it is, but you wake up that next morning and you feel like you've been hit by a bus. And then you got to wake up at 6 a.m. for weights, and you're humbled really quick. But actually, surprisingly, because this is the first year I had to lift after a meet, it actually gets your body going a little bit. So the recovery process is a little bit faster. That's what I came to find out this past year. But those first couple Saturdays after meet day, they were not pretty.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. But what's your go-to? Like, how do you What's your routine? Are you hitting the cold tub? Are you getting massage? Like,
Yeah.
what's your key to getting feeling right again?
Right. So it's immediately after the meet is over, media is over, all the things, like you go straight to the cold tub. You're in there for 10 minutes. Just after the meet, cool down, and then you can go home. We all do that. I think our athletic trainer would actually kill us if we didn't. But that's why we love her. So definitely cold tub. But then the day after, usually we're so lucky, and we get to have a massage therapist come in and work on us, and that helps a whole bunch. I really like the compression boots, like the Normatex. They make like the lower extremities definitely feel a lot better after a meet. But those are probably my top three.
So earlier in the interview, you mentioned something about your core five. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. So really, it's like my mom, my brother. Right now, Raquel, my manager, she really goes above and beyond for anything that I need, and I couldn't think of a better person to have like on this journey with me. And then my best friends, Makari and Ella, I always go to them for everything, and they know me better than I know myself. And actually, I should say core six, because my boyfriend is pretty amazing, and he has been through this, this crazy journey of trying to fulfill this dream that I had when I was a little girl, and he's been my rock through it. He's going through something, a pretty big life changing event himself, so it's been really good. We've been apart, but somehow we are still grounded together, and he just makes he makes my heart just so happy, and I'm so grateful to have him.
That's awesome. For those who don't know, Luisa is dating Andrew Pinckney, who had an outstanding season for Alabama baseball. And you mentioned this big event. Tell us about what happened for Andrew in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, so he got drafted to the Washington Nationals, and I'm just so proud of him. He has been, a fighter just this entire year, and he had an outstanding season. And just to see all his hard work finally pay off, it's been amazing to see, especially because I didn't know, what a strike was like probably a year ago. I didn't know any of the positions, so it's been awesome to just learn his world, and how his mind works, and just to see how hard he works. It's been great. But yeah, that's actually the reason why I'm in Florida right now, just to see him. He's getting the first workouts in, and it's been really exciting.
So he taught you about baseball. Have you had to teach him about gymnastics, or did he have some basic knowledge?
I had to teach him, but I definitely will say he knows his stuff. Like, I still don't really know baseball that much, but he can tell you the skills. He can watch somebody's routine and be like, that was a 9-7, or that was a 9-9-5, or that was a 10. So I'm going to give him his respect. He definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to gym.
Love it. He's taking an interest. That's good, man. All right, let's grab another question here. This one coming in from Avery. How long could you do a handstand?
Goodness. Now, I don't know. But before, we used to have conditioning tests, and it would be like you'd have to hold it for a minute. I really couldn't tell you right now. I haven't held a handstand besides on the bar for maybe longer than 2 seconds, 3 seconds.
Okay.
I'm going to give myself 10 seconds though.
I'm going to go over. I think you can hit longer than that.
I don't know, because you're upside down, and then the blood starts rushing to your head, and then you start seeing stars, and you're like.
Fair enough. So in conditioning, you could. What's the longest you've ever gone? You just hit the minute and bail out, or
yeah, you hit the minute and you're done.
Okay.
And then when we're in season, that 30 seconds and you're done.
All right. I think we got a couple more questions here. Meredith wants to know, what's one thing you wish you could go back and tell yourself as a freshman?
Don't try to recreate past success. Just live in the moment, win whatever moment you're in, because, comparison is the thief of all joy. Everybody knows it. And it hits even worse when you're comparing yourself to yourself,
Right.
because you know you've been there. So yeah, don't recreate past success. You know, you're on the path that you're on right now, and do whatever you can to get 1% better that day.
Is that tough to do? Comparing yourself to yourself, or not comparing yourself to yourself?
It's been my biggest obstacle, I'd say, throughout these last 4 years. It's just knowing that you've been there once, and when you're working and you can't seem to get there again, or you can't recreate it, it's definitely frustrating. But it's finding different ways that, you know, you define success, not necessarily winning a meet, winning a medal, having a ring. It's being there for your teammates. It's having a mistake and coming back better, not throwing away the meat, things like that.
Yeah. All right. I think we got one more question. Stephanie wants to know, what's your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal? Girl, I wish I could tell you that I was on a diet, but I'm just not. I eat whatever. It's terrible. No, yeah, but everything in moderation. I would say my favorite cheat meal, my favorite meal in general. If you guys haven't been to Sitar, India on 15th, it is my favorite thing ever. I get it way too much, but I get the chicken tikka masala, and let me know if you try it because it's amazing.
No, I've been there. It's quite good.
Yes.
So did you, when you were in Colombia, did you have any food that you didn't know about, or was it all something that you've already had? Did you get adventurous with your meals?
I actually, not my meals, but like my snacks. I tried this like lychee fruit. It's like, it looks like a strawberry, but it's very spiky and hairy. And when you cut it in half, there's like white, it's almost slimy, but it's the most delicious, refreshing fruit I've
Really?
ever had. Yes. And I tried a lot of like fruity drinks. I don't know what they would like what the translation is in English, but the fruit is green. Kind of looks like a passion fruit or something. I don't know, but it was delicious. The fruit there was awesome, and there was a bunch of vendors, especially when we went to like the plazas and the parks and things. So it was really cool to try those.
All right, we got some lightning round questions coming up. So just nope. Sarah wants to know which UA male student athlete would make the best gymnast, or are there any?
Ooh, which UA male student athlete would make the best gymnast? Ooh, I don't know. I'd say gymnastics is one of the hardest sports ever, but I'm gonna have to go with Drew on this one, just because he's got a little bit of knowledge in the back pocket now.
What do you think he would do the best? What would be his best skill?
I'll say floor, just because he's got that personality. So he's going to let that personality shine out in the dance a little. He's really athletic. He's got a good build, so he could probably tumble. You know, I'll give him floor.
Man, you were winning some boyfriend points. You've been talking really well about him.
I mean.
All right. Now I think we're ready for the lightning round. Favorite movie?
Unbroken. It is awesome. It is way too long. It's like 3 hours, but I love it, and I cry every single time I watch it.
All right. Best place you've visited?
Colombia.
That's an easy one. We put that on a T for you.
Yes.
And what song are you listening to get hyped for a meet?
Can't Tell Me Nothing, Kanye West.
Do you have any special talents other than gymnastics?
Talents? I don't know. Hobbies? I really like naps. I like taking naps. I would say I'm a professional napper. I could sleep through anything. So
I like it. She is Luisa Blanco. And hey, Sitar, if you want to do a special NIL deal with Luisa, get in touch with her because she is a big, big fan. Luisa, thanks so much for your time. We understand how hectic it's been for you the last few weeks. Thanks for taking a few minutes for us, and good luck with this next goal for you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. That was another half-hour huddle. I'm Aaron Suttles, Director of Content for Yea Alabama. Don't forget, Fan Day coming back to Bryant-Denny Stadium. Make sure that you subscribe. You probably already are subscribed. Make sure you're getting more subscribers to take advantage of the exclusive autograph session that's coming after Fan Day. Remember, you don't have to wait in that August heat outside the stadium for hours and hours and hours. You get to watch the practice and then get in line and take advantage of Coach Saban and all the great football players at the University of Alabama. Also, make sure you're checking out the merch store and following us on all the social media accounts. Appreciate Luisa taking some time for us. She's been earning those frequent flyer miles traveling around the globe. So thank you, Luisa. We appreciate it. We'll catch you next time here on Half Hour Huddle.